Amid the border crisis, searing images surfacing today, showing what detention facilities look like through the eyes of the kids who are kept there. A social worker obtaining pictures drawn by a 10 and 11-year-old children recently released from Border Patrol custody. This picture showing kids in cages, lying under blankets without beds. Another showing kids in a cage with sad faces as people with what appear to be guns standing nearby. So kids in cages with guns standing nearby. This is what these kids are drawing. A third drawing showing an empty cell with 2 toilets. And then Donald Trump tweeting late today this: if illegal immigrants are unhappy with the conditions in the quickly built or refitted detention centers, just tell them not to come. All problems solved. All this as newly released documents detail ICE agents' responses to planned nationwide immigration raids in 2017. The Daily Beast describing the, quote, excited, even giddy anticipation of the raids by immigration agents, one emailing agents, quote, happy hunting. With me now is Melissa Mark Viverito, Senior Advisor for the Latino Victory Fund and former New York City Council Speaker, also NBC News contributor Raul Reyes. Melissa, I'm going to start with you on this one. Let's bring those pictures back up, guys. And I'd like you to comment on that. Just think about the lifelong implications of what is happening at these detention centers. And if you had any question in mind that there weren't any, now you know the answer.
Look, this has been going on for over a year. And so, the fact that we're responding in this visceral way, we should be. But where was that anger and frustration a year ago when we knew that these conditions were happening? We have leaders in the Congress that have been talking about the conditions. But the anger and frustration was there. The anger and frustration has been there for a year because we here have been covering this story for over a year now, especially when the family separation policy began. Yes. But why haven't the solutions, and maybe this is what you're getting at,
exactly the frustration that there is inaction, right? And what we're seeing is depraved indifference. This is terrorism that is occurring to these children, that they're going to be living the consequences of this for decades, for their lifetime. The parents that are being ripped apart from their children, they have no idea where they are. This is something that we cannot be witness to anymore. And I feel personally a sense of frustration that every day we wake up and we don't know what actually we're going to do to stop it. And that is what we need, the leadership from our representatives in Congress. Definitely the GOP is complicit in this because they are not willing to put an end to this. But this is torture. This is state-sponsored terrorism of these children. And that is the reality. We want to use tough language. It's very hard to sit here calmly, but it is a very tough reality that we are bearing witness to. And what are we going to do? Are we going to continue to just sit us on the sidelines and watch it happen? Or what are we going to do to take action? And obviously voting and elections do matter. But I believe that there's more that could be done at the moment.
So the tweet that the president just sent out about an hour or so ago, I believe that tweet gets to the crux of the problem.
Exactly.
And I want to reiterate what he said. He said, if illegal immigrants are unhappy with the conditions in the quickly built or refitted detention centers, just tell them not to come. All problems solved.
Right.
It seems as if there is a lack of understanding as to why these men, women, children, mothers, fathers are leaving these countries like Honduras to come to the United States. And I just want to put it simply like this. If you woke up tomorrow and you did not have a job, didn't have money to put food on the table for your children, recognized the safety of yourself and the safety of your children was at risk, and you didn't know if your wife would come home that night because her safety was at risk as well, would you stand by and wait for something to happen?
Exactly.
Or would you flee for the land of opportunity?
Not only would they flee would most reasonable people flee for the land of opportunity, they were also fleeing to exercise a legal right to apply for sanctuary, for asylum and other forms of humanitarian relief. And I think when you describe this president's tweet as showing a type of indifference or unwillingness to understand the problem, I think that's a very kind way of putting it, because honestly, I feel like he has shown time and again he has no compassion for these children. He has very little compassion for brown people at the border. He has said repeatedly that even these young people, I'm not even talking about the parents, that these young people, he has associated them with MS-13, being potential drug mules, and we should be disturbed about this Inspector General report. But the fact is, this is the 9th one in 2 years. And every single one of their reports have faulted. Now, this is coming from the government. Have faulted their standards of care, the lack of access to medical, to doctors and medical facilities. So this has been an ongoing problem. It just resurfaces in the news periodically, but it's happening and it's been for 2 years.
Go ahead. The other thing is the other tweets that you did not read are the ones where he's talking about the CPB agents doing a good job, right? When we're seeing this culture of violence within this agency with the Facebook, the secret Facebook.
Happy hunting.
Exactly. I mean, and this is this president emboldening those, saying you're doing a good job, when we know that there's this culture of violence that where they have dehumanized these children, where they don't see them as human, they see them as vile. And that is something that really is a grave concern.
I just want you to pause for a second, because actually Ari interviewed a Border Patrol agent last night, and I want to take a listen to what he had to say, and then I want your response to it.
Everybody knows about it. It's the dirty little secrets of the Border Patrol. And every time one of their agents does something like this, or somebody discovers a secret page or website or whatever, the management always says, well, this is just not like us. We're honorable. We only want the most honorable people. But yet it keeps happening over and over and over again.
So in a way, she is actually backing up what you're saying. This is a systemic problem that has been ongoing, and yet the President of the United States is applauding these Border Patrol agents.
Right. I mean, organization.
And of course, there are many people inside of Border Patrol that are very good people, well-meaning people, but there are also bad actors as well.
Well, as Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez had tweeted, when you have almost half of the agents part of this group, secret group, there is a pervasive and real systemic issue. And all organizations have a culture. This organization has a culture of violence. And that, again, as we're saying, where now these agents are being told by the chief executive that they're doing a good job, when we see how these children are being treated and when we see how these families are being dehumanized day in and day out, it's approving that behavior. And it's really emboldening it.
That type of dehumanization comes directly from the president. I mean, this is the fact.
So,
our Border Patrol, our ICE, our detention system, it is broken. One of the reasons these systems are broken is because they operate largely in secrecy.
We're running out of time, so I really do want to get this in, because we can sit here and we can talk about how aghast it is, how disturbing it is, how horrible it is, how much it's going to affect these kids for years to come. What is the solution? Who is responsible? And that's, I think, the biggest issue is nobody really knows to a certain extent, and how things can get done.
Well, that was part of the debate, right, when the bill about funding and the internal conversations that happened within the Democratic caucus, right, that there were those that were vehemently opposed because it is a way of, again, saying, what, we're going to give you money to keep doing what you're doing. How do we use that as an opportunity to try to
but
really...
even at a basic level, to provide necessities for these children, like toothbrushes, the stories that we were talking about last week.
Those, yes.
When they didn't have soap and toothbrushes,
I think the international community needs to weigh in. I really think that we should be demanding the United Nations to somehow be involved and somehow step in. Because
the United States certainly would be doing it if this were happening in a different country. Absolutely. So I think I think you're right. It's time for more international organizations to step in. And for right now, in reality on the ground, I think the only hope that we have is that more journalists continue to shine light on these type of conditions, as well as advocates and members of Congress who will go there.
We have some great congressional reps like Debbie Mukersel-Powell in Homestead, Florida, where we have Veronica Escobar in El Paso, right there, that have been really shedding light and have been talking about these deplorable conditions. That's why representation matters. That's why election matters. We need more representatives that are going to step up to the plate.
Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.